Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ready? So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Do you understand English? Vous comprenez anglais? Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Text 15. It's on the board, so you can follow. So please repeat. Bahuni Santi Namani. Bahuni Santi Namani. Bahuni Santi Namani. Bahuni Santi Namani. Rupani cha sutasyate. Rupani cha sutasyate. Rupani cha sutasyate. Rupani cha sutasyate. Guna karmanu rupani. Guna karmanu rupani. Guna karmanu rupani. Guna karmanu rupani. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Bahuni santi namani. Bahuni santi namani. Rupani cha sutasya cha. Rupani cha sutasya cha. Oh, sutasya te. Guna karmanu rupani. Guna karmanu rupani. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Bahuni santi namani. Bahuni santi namani. Rupani cha sutasyate. Rupani cha sutasyate. Guna karmanu rupani. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Bahuni santi namani. Bahuni santi namani. Rupani cha sutasyate. Rupani cha sutasyate. Guna karmanu rupani. Guna karmanu rupani. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Les dames. Bahuni santi namani. Bahuni santi namani. Rupani cha sutasyate. Guna karmanu rupani. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Bahuni santi namani. Rupani cha sutasyate. Guna karmanu rupani. Tanyaham vedano janaha. Bahuni. Bahuni. Various. Various. Santi. Santi. There are. There are. Namani. Namani. Names. Names. Rupani. Rupani. Forms. Form. Cha. Cha. Also. Also. Sutasya. Sutasya. Of the sun. Of sun. Te. Te. Your. Your. Guna karma anurupani. Guna karma anurupani. According to his attributes.
according to his attributes
and activities.
and activities.
Tani,
Nami,
them.
them.
Aham,
Aham,
I.
I.
Veda,
Veda,
no.
no.
No janaha,
No Ganaha,
not ordinary persons.
no ordinary person.
For his son of yours, for this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his transcendental qualities and activities. These are known to me, but people in general do not understand them. Purport. Bahuni. This is the explanation of the word Bahuni. The Lord has many names. Advaitam Achutam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5:33. The Lord is one, but he has many forms and many names. It was not that because Garga Muni gave the child the name Krishna, that was his only name. He has other names such as Bhakta Vatsala, Giridhari, Govinda, and Gopala. If we analyze the nirukti or semantic derivation of the word Krishna, do you know what that means? I don't know what that means. Semantic derivation. Are you familiar with that word?
How the meaning is derived.
Yeah. How the meaning is derived. Of the word Krishna, we find that Na signifies that he stops the repetition of birth and death, and Krish means Satartha or existence. Krishna is the whole of existence. Also, Krish means attraction, and Na means Ananda or bliss. Krishna is known as Mukunda because he wants to give everyone spiritual, eternal, blissful life. Unfortunately, because of the living entity's little independence, the living entity wants to deprogram the program of Krishna. We are the deprogrammers. Have you heard about deprogrammers? Sometimes they call the anti-cult movement. They want to deprogram the devotees because they think that we have been programmed, brainwashed. So they are called deprogrammers. But so, here it is confirmed. We want to deprogram Krishna's program. This is the material disease. Nonetheless, because Krishna wants to give transcendental bliss to the living entities, he appears in various forms. Therefore, he is called Krishna. Because Garga Muni was an astrologer, he knew what others did not know. Yet, Krishna has so many names that even Garga Muni did not know them all. It is to be concluded that Krishna, according to his transcendental activities, has many names and many forms. Om Agnana Timinandasya Gyanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Smita Krishna Swaminiti Namane. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacharya Shatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo. So we have our own program that we want to do things separately from Krishna. But we are actually meant to participate in Krishna's program. This is Krishna's program. Morning program. And we should participate. If we are participating, we are taking part in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. This ISKCON movement is Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. We may not see it. We will see it if we continue to purify ourselves. We have to cleanse the mirror of the heart every day. What is that? Cheto Darpana Vajanam. And we may think this is very tedious, very boring. And that's because we are in the modes of ignorance and passion. For a person in the modes of ignorance and passion, the mode of goodness is very boring. So we can test ourselves. If we are bored during japa, it's because we are in the modes, lower modes. We may not be bored, we may just fall asleep. That's the mode of ignorance. But then we may stay awake, and then we may get bored, or we may get tired of chanting. That's because we're in the mode of passion. The mode of goodness is many things. In the mode of goodness, you can focus your mind on one thing and nothing else. No telephone, no thinking about management, no thinking about other things. Mode of goodness, you can focus. So if you're distracted in your japa, in your service, in your work, it means that you are influenced. We are influenced by the lower modes. So yoga is meant to focus the mind. The central point of yoga is the mind and how to control the mind. And for modern Kali Yuga people, that seems like impossible. If you hear people speaking, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the first quality of a man, a person, is his speech. So if you hear what a person is speaking, you can immediately understand who is this person. And many persons, when they speak, they have no filter between the mind and what they say. It's just a stream of consciousness. And there is no focus, you can say. Many people, they speak like that. We call it prajalpa. Or sometimes it's unnecessary talk or undirected talk. It's just... So that's why the tongue is the sense which is the most difficult to control. And the first sense that we have to learn how to control. Because the tongue wants to speak all the time. And it wants to eat everything. It wants to taste.
It's very nice. The Shastra says that this talk is nonsense. É like do frog quando serve, because o frog quando dá this
Frog?
frog, this noise, ele invitation ele almost ele vai die.
Yeah. So to control the senses, we must control the mind, because the mind is more subtle. So we start with the most subtle, of actually the mind, the intelligence, we can say. We can say the intelligence is part of the mind. Depends, different places in the Shastra it's described that. There's the subtle body, which is consisting of mind, false ego, and intelligence. So we have to, by Prabhupada's books, we can change our intelligence. Now we're using our intelligence for what? We can be very intelligent. Modern society has become very intelligent, specialized in what? In how to gratify.
Manipulate the people.
Yeah, how to gratify our senses. We're very good at that now. We think. But actually, if you look at, well, we are trying to gratify our senses. But if you look at the animal kingdom, they're more expert. Pigeons can have sex all day long. We can't. So if that's what you want, you may become a pigeon. You may become a monkey. Have you seen the activities of monkeys? What are the monkeys doing? They're doing two things all day long. Look, next time you go to India, try to study the monkeys.
Eating all day.
What they're doing?
Stealing something.
Having sex and fighting. And Prabhupada compared his Western disciples to monkeys, sometimes. He said, you are addicted to two things, sex and fighting. Indians are a little different. And maybe other people in other parts of the world, but he was saying that about the Western disciples. You're all the time quarreling and you're very lusty. That's basically, if you analyze people's lives. Yeah. So we are high-tech animals. But because we want to enjoy so much, we will become low-tech animals. And I read one purport, Prabhupada said that actually modern humans, they don't have the comfort of the animals even anymore. The animals, they just wake up. They don't need to go to the factory or office. They can find the food. They already know there's an arrangement. They don't have the same problems that we have. They have other problems. And for defense, the birds, they have a beak. They can defend themselves. They don't need to have nuclear bombs. We have created so much nonsense. So much nonsense. And just for the destruction. Krishna says the demons, they can just invent something which will destroy. They cannot invent anything good. They will say, oh, we are doing this for peace. That's what they all say. We have to use these weapons for the sake of peace. And of course we have God on our side. Do you know that song? Bob Dylan? With God on our sides. Bob Dylan? No? Very famous song. Wrote in the 60s. Everybody is saying, we have God on our side. Maybe not everyone, but many. Donald Trump, he just said, I have God on my side because the bullet missed me. Maybe he does, but that does not mean he's a saint. He actually helped the devotees once. Yeah, he helped the devotees.
Saved him. Saved him.
So maybe that saved him.
Saved him, yeah.
Mm. So nobody is 100% bad. But everybody is saying that we have God on our side. The Nazis were saying that. They had written on their uniform, Gott mit uns. God is with us. Gott mit uns. But we may want God on our side, but do we want to be on God's side? In India, you want the kingdom of Ram, Ram Raj. But do you want Ram? Of course, in India, people are very pious, and ISKCON is developing big time, so I think many people want Ram. And Modi has installed Ram Lal now, so this is also very auspicious. But the tendency is we want the kingdom of God without God. And we want to take ourselves and put ourselves in His position. And that's the fall down of humanity. You can analyze the fall down of the society because it starts from the top. The first fall down, you can say in one sense, was the Reformation. We will have a little history session. You know the Reformation in Europe? No? The Reformation, what does it mean?
Change.
Yeah. The Reformation was when the Catholic Church was divided. That's one thing that happened. Into Protestant, before there was no Protestants. And this was Martin Luther. Not the modern Martin Luther King, the black American. The original Martin Luther, he was German. I'm not so sharp in numbers. I think it was in 15 something. So what happened was that the priesthood, we can say the Brahmanas in ISKCON language, they became degraded, and the church was watered down, diluted. The principles became diluted. I like to compare this to Krishna West. So that the Protestants, what happened, they gradually stopped chanting japa, chanting on the rosary. There were no more monks, no more monasteries. That was gradually, it still exists in Protestant circles. There are monasteries, but very little. And another thing was that the priest can marry. This idea that the Catholic priest cannot marry, it's still there. Maybe they're thinking about changing it, but it's still there, and it's very old. So like that, first the priesthood, the Brahmanas, they became degraded, and the church had a lot of money. They were even controlling armies. The Pope had his own army, and they were going to war. So the church had too much power, I think you can say that. They were sometimes acting almost like Kshatriya or something like that. So after that degradation, the next step, Kshatriya. We all know that degradation, right? In France it's very famous. The degradation of the kings. What was that?
Revolution. The French Revolution.
The French Revolution,
The French Revolution.
1789. So that many people, they understand what is a king according to that time. Something bad, kings. We don't want kings, right? That's what we are thinking. Because they became degraded. But before that, they were not so degraded. They were not as degraded as the leaders are today, believe me. Louis XVI was very elevated compared to our leaders. Very elevated person. Very pious also. But he was degraded so that finally he was executed. Gradually they got rid of monarchy. Actually, it didn't happen immediately. The kings came back. Napoleon, of course, he became not only king, Napoleon Bonaparte, he became the emperor, big emperor. And then the next fall down, Brahmana Kshatriya. What is the Vaishya degradation? Anybody knows? The revolution against capitalism. What is that? Communism. You can say communism, maybe also Nazism. Same thing. Well, different philosophy, but basically the Shudras who take over government. The Shudras who are revolting against the Vaishyas. Because they are against capitalism. Everybody has to be a Shudra now. We're already Shudras. You don't have to say it. And so we can see that didn't work. Right? Did it work? What was the result of communism? Millions and millions and millions of people died.
Yeah. Stalin killed more people than Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. And one result, Prabhupada is mentioning this in his classes. He was saying that the Communist Party members, they would go outside the church and then they would talk to people and they would say, have your priest got... At that time there was a starvation in Russia, at the Soviet Union. Have your priest got any bread, they would say. And they say, no, he didn't give me any bread because you pray for bread in the Christian religion. How do you say in French? Donnez-moi le pain quotidien. Yeah.
Yes.
Give us today, this day, our daily bread. Donnez-nous ce jour notre pain de séjour. So they didn't get bread from the priest. So then the Communist Party members, they would give them some bread. Here's your bread. So they would say, who is better, your God or the Communist Party? They were making their point like that. But who caused that starvation, that famine? They caused it. The Communist Party. What would they do? The Vaishyas, they would not have much authority. They would tell the Vaishyas when to harvest. I mean, the farmers. They would tell them when to sow. But they know already. You don't have to tell them. So that caused a big famine. And they would put the flour in train wagons like that, without any sacks or... You just throw it in the train wagon and the flour would blow away. They do stupid things. So they caused this famine, and then they came and said that they were trying to make propaganda like that. But that famine killed, I don't know how many people, 50 million people maybe, more. And what to speak of the war and so many other things. So the Vaishya, the revolution against the Vaishyas, everybody should be equal. We don't want any, and we still have this idea that everyone is equal. So we are all equal on the spiritual platform. Everybody is a servant of Krishna. But in another sense, there is a hierarchy which we have to respect. But when the hierarchy is broken, degraded, and the authorities don't represent God anymore, all the problems begin. There's a verse in the Shastra that you should not become a father, you should not become a teacher, etc., if you cannot save your dependents from the repeated birth and death. So if you're an authority, any type of authority, if you're a father, mother, if you have any type of authority, you have to represent God. You have to be a representative. And for the children, the parents are God. Practically God. The child is a perfect example of the nature of the jiva. The jiva is completely dependent on the parents, completely helpless. And if the parents are not good, I said that before, Ravindra, he mentions that atheism starts in the cradle. What do you call the cradle again in French?
Le berceau.
Le berceau. It starts in the cradle. Because how can you believe in God if those who represent God are not good? How can you have any faith in a supreme God? So I have many times thanked my parents for being good parents, and this has helped me in Krishna consciousness. Because of their being good parents, it's easier for me to believe in Krishna. And I know that the opposite is true. If you have difficulties in your childhood or the parents get divorced, which is mostly the case nowadays, unfortunately. If your parents are not divorced, it's a special case. It's Kali Yuga. So, what is the point here? We have to follow Krishna's program. And Krishna's big program is called Varnashram Dharma. And he says in Bhagavad Gita that I have created that. And in Varnashram Dharma, there's a hierarchy. And when we find our place in that hierarchy, we accept our place. We are born with a certain nature. We need to act according to the nature that we have been given. We may be able to choose different things, but we have a limited nature. We cannot do whatever we want. We have a certain nature. We have to follow that nature and act accordingly by accepting a spiritual master. And Prabhupada said, dovetail our activities in Krishna consciousness. Dovetail is a carpenter term. You know that? Tenon et mortaise. It's when you join the wood. What is the tenon? I don't know which one is there's a male and female piece of wood, which you join in dans la charpente. So that's a dovetail. So we have to dovetail all our activities in Krishna's service very tightly. Whatever tendencies we have to use in Krishna consciousness. And we may think, I'm transcendental. I can just float above. I don't need this, I don't need that. I don't need Varnashram Dharma. We are not even qualified for Varnashram Dharma. Krishna is so merciful. So we have to become a little bit humble. And if we find our place, we accept that we are in a hierarchy. Somebody is above me, always. And somebody is also below me. Then we can become happy. And I think that's all I want to say. Any questions or comments? Yes.
I was thinking, more like a comment. Like when you join Krishna consciousness, then you have people that are here for more longer than you, and then you have to respect that. And but it may be difficult in the beginning to accept, because as you say, we are used to see that everyone is equal, and we want everyone equal, which is not natural, is not good. And I was thinking, it's just like in a queue, you know, when you're waiting for get some paper or for the passport or anything. You're just in the queue, you know. The people that are before, they will get the passport before, you know. Ultimately you will get it, so just be in the queue, you know, don't make a mess, you know, try to go in front of everyone, you know, and just get kicked out, you know.
Well, then you have to see, okay, this person has been here for a long time, but what has he been doing?
Oh, of course.
Maybe he has been here. But you can, some people, they may have been around for a long time. That does not mean that they're super advanced. That does not mean they're super advanced, just have been around.
Yeah, but still,
You have to practice. And you can respect people in different ways. You don't have to surrender 100% to a person.
No, sure.
You just show some minimum respect. When I get new customers, there has to be some minimum respect. It's very, very small. And if it's not there, I immediately drop them. And I've started to see more and more how you get to know humans, how they behave. One thing is that if a customer wants me to contact, he wants me to come to them, you call me, then I'm immediately alert. It means he wants to be on top. He wants to keep me down. And if somebody doesn't want to speak on the phone, if they're just sending SMS, not good. I don't like that. So there has to be some type of initial respect that you say, okay, I need this, I need that. Can you help me? They respect who you are. You're a professional, and I need your service. Not that you are my employee, and I'm going to tell you what to do now. Some people are like that. So they just take a humble position. You can respect someone at a distance. Some people you may have to respect from a distance. And you cannot be friends with everyone. Just forget it. You can make friends with those who are like-minded and those you feel good about, and those who people may not become your best friend, but you can still respect them. Nobody has 100 best friends, do they? You have a few intimate friends. That's Krishna is like that also in his spiritual world. He has his intimate circle, and then he has friends that are less intimate. You cannot be intimate with everyone. Those you feel that you can trust and who are senior, you should respect a lot. Where you feel that you can open yourself, you can take guidance, you trust them. That most of the respect has to be put there. That's my take on it.
You spoke about
Yeah,
the
just
fact
continue.
that sometimes we fall asleep during japa,
Mm.
and like we have to keep our mind, and that you say that this is Lord Chaitanya's pastime. And if I have
It's not Lord Chaitanya's pastime that you fall asleep.
yes,
It sounded like that. I'm sorry.
So yes. So I mean, this ISKCON, this whole Krishna consciousness movement is the continuation of Lord Chaitanya's pastime.
Mm.
And if I have one realization about it, I don't know, I can share and someone can correct.
Go ahead.
But the best way to see, at least in my personal experience, the best way for me to realize that it's Lord Chaitanya's pastime is sometimes to practice some kind of, when I practice some preaching activity, that I can see, or I get, for example, enthusiastic about japa, and then then I understand the purpose of why I'm here, and it's just like, and then everything become preaching, and then the temple become preaching, and cleaning the floor become preaching, and having a nice behavior become preaching. But if I'm not doing this, then I don't know that it is preaching, and I become disconnected from the whole purpose of all activities of everyone.
Yeah, we have to have a mission in life. We have to have purpose in life. Then we feel we are in the right position. And there is a general mission, but then we need to be in our specific place. Then you become fired up, as they say. Yeah?
We know that the law of karma, and so any living entity suffering is part of his karma. But is there also some cases where someone is suffering like solely because of someone else's aggression, or is it always part of their karma? It's something which is, when we are preaching, it's a question which is always challenging, you know.
But
Sometimes I have some doubts whether
yeah.
can we be like 100%, you know, saying that there's nothing that is out of the karma. Everything is organized, that if someone is hurting someone else, that person is here because, you know, he had something to leave, or is there exceptions?
But Krishna, he says what is karma in Bhagavad Gita. He says that karma means the creation of future material bodies. That's the definition. So by our activities we are creating future material bodies. Karma means we are the cause of it. If we are good, we get good. reaction. If we are bad, we get bad reaction. So we can change that. That's just a material platform. Then, if we surrender to Krishna, we are operating on a different level. Maybe, if we really do it. Where Krishna can cancel reactions that we normally should have got for our previous activities. But we are responsible for what we are doing. Nobody can be blamed other than ourselves for what we are suffering. That's, I think, is an important point. There are no innocent victims. You can say that some people are more innocent than others, but bad things do not happen to good people. Sometimes people think that.
Yeah.
If but then again, you cannot preach in this way to non-devotees, but you can say to devotees that if you go through some difficult times, it may not be just karma. It may be Krishna who is doing this for a purpose for us. And you can say it's about karma also. He wants to purify us. Or in very elevated cases like Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't need purification. But what happened to Prahlad Maharaj, I think we can say, was to show how great he was. Krishna wanted to emphasize how great his devotee was. And Prabhupada says, in order to extract gold, because gold it has to be put in fire to get it cleaned. So we may be put in the fire to get cleaned a little bit. But you can say that Krishna is doing this. It may hurt for some time, but this is not the law, it's above the law of karma. And another realization I have is that when devotees are put into difficulty, it's to show, Krishna wants to show the greatness of a devotee by putting him through difficulty, because you show your good qualities in the best way, not when everything is nice and comfortable, but when difficult times come. Then you can really show your good qualities. And Krishna, he wants to see that. What is my devotee going to do now if this happens? Is he still going to be my devotee? Is he going to sit down and cry? Or is he going to stand up and fight? So that's an element of also chivalrous activities. We have to fight for Krishna. It's not that, okay, I'm becoming a devotee then. Everybody's just going to say, Haribol, that's very nice. You've become a devotee. You want to be a devotee? Oh, good. Okay, just come back immediately. There's a battle. But this battle is not under the laws of karma. This battle is a transcendental battle. And there are even some devotees who relish this battle, especially relish to fight for Krishna. It's a special rasa. Who is this? One example? Bhishma Dev. We put his big picture in our entrance now. Krishna, he is picking up the wheel, the chariot, and he's ready to throw it at Bhishma. Bhishma is standing like this. Come on. So this is special rasa also. Okay? C'est bon? Hare Krishna.